SnAPPshot webinar. We're going to give everyone a chance to log in, and we see that there's quite a few already that are joining, and we're going to give it a couple more minutes to see who else is able to get in. But thank you, and it looks like we have people from around the country, so I hope you're staying warm in the Northeast. And here in San Diego, I have to say it's sunny and typically 70 degrees. So, but I'm here with Tom Linhart, who is the CEO of FaxCore, and I'm excited that he'll be able to present this product to you and let you know about the great reseller opportunities that we have for you. And so let me get started. And we'll just so everyone knows, you're on mute. And if you have any questions, please type them into the chatting area. And if the question is relevant to the presentation and makes sense right in the middle of where Tom is speaking, I'll probably ask him the question. But otherwise, I will wait until the end. We are recording this, so if anyone needs to have this and be able to reference it for later or share it with your colleagues, that would be great. All right, so let's get started. So SaaSmax, just quickly as an overview for those of you who might be new to SaaSmax, we consider ourselves the ultimate value-add marketplace, specifically to connect SaaS apps that are channel-friendly, reseller-friendly, with business resellers, trusted advisors, value-added resellers, system integrators, managed service providers, telecom agents, and those who have clients that they can help out and bring quality opportunities to. So our goal within SaaSmax is helping you as a reseller to discover the right SaaS applications and therefore earn more revenue and bring more value to your clients. So as you can see here on the right side, there's a little search result summary tile of FaxCore, which gives you a quick and dirty overview of what they are, what kind of reseller programs they offer. And then when you click through to them, you can see a profile that has more information about them than you probably can find anywhere else in one place, including the types of reseller information that they offer, how to get in touch with them for reseller activities, what kind of special offers they're providing to SaaSmax resellers, the pricing plans, compliance, technical details, you name it. So we also facilitate personal introductions with our account managers. We're happy to make transparent introductions and build relationships directly. And we do our best to provide education like we're doing today. And as we grow, we are continuing to add marketing automation tools and affiliate and PRM tools so that you and the SaaS vendors can work together efficiently and make this really work for you. So today we've got Tom Linhart here. He's the CEO of FaxCore. He has over 20 years of experience directly in the fax server sector. So he is the guy to speak to and know if you're doing anything related to faxing, which is really quite a substantial industry that is not nearly as obsolete as one might believe given the world of internet these days. And he's offering a special offer to our resellers, which is a free FaxCore account with your own fax number and 100 pages per month. So that's a great way for you to take advantage of this opportunity, is start using it yourself and really understand and get triggered on what kinds of other clients you have that might benefit from FaxCore. So Tom, without further ado, get going. Nice to have you here.
All right, great. Thank you very much, Dina. And thank you, everybody who joined us. I appreciate a little slice of your time today to learn about our solution and the offering and the revenue potential to you and your organization. So, you know, if you're not familiar with the fax server industry, it started back in the late 80s, really grew rapidly through the 90s and into the early 2000s. But then when the dot-com boom and bust came and went and email became prevalent, a lot of the fax server manufacturers thought, okay, this is the end. We're going to have to go look for something else to do because email is going to put us out of business. Personally, I didn't see that. Our customers, the fax servers, were mission critical. They were expanding. And so we took an opportunity, a bunch of industry veterans came together and took the opportunity to build a next generation fax server, like we like to say, in and for the internet age. And it's paid off really well. We've won more product awards in the last 7 years than all the other products combined. And we continue to set the pace as far as how to deliver a fax server system that is relevant in today's internet marketplace. And it's a system, the way we architected it, we've got enterprise customers using it, as well as many solution providers have built their platform or their fax service offering on our platform, and it can be private labeled. So it's something if you're in a market where you're wanting, solution provider providing hosted services in the cloud. We're also validated by Artisan, so that's another advantage where you could actually install FaxCore in an Artisan data center and offer hosted faxing services to your customer base. And like Dina said earlier, fax isn't as nearly as dead as a lot of people may believe. That's still alive and well, and probably most definitely the best vertical where it's used mostly is in healthcare, with HIPAA, with patient health information being faxed and transmitted back and forth. Fax is still the most secure, reliable, confirmable way to deliver information in a way that's HIPAA compliant. Sending out an email with patient information in a PDF file across the public internet is not HIPAA compliant. In addition, there's storage requirements, retention of a minimum of 6 years of retaining these patient health information records. And so having a fax on a fax server instead of in a file cabinet somewhere is a much more efficient and better way to do it. So a lot of hospitals are adopting it. EMR, electronic medical record, EMR as in electronic medical records or electronic health records. Those companies build in fax and or want to integrate in with a cloud-based fax server. So great vertical there. Insurance. A lot of insurance agencies bind policies, get applications, etc. Everything is done via fax, particularly if there may be some financial securities that information is being faxed, or transmitted. Fax is a secure way to do it. That's also why banks and credit unions, stockbrokers, etc., all rely upon fax to securely transmit that information. And another industry that we've really seen grow in the last few years is a bit of a surprise, is colleges, universities, primary education as well. A lot of the information that's going back and forth as far as transcripts, grades, things like that, is faxed. They don't email that information back and forth. So if you're applying for into a university and your high school needs to deliver those transcripts, it's all done via fax. And so a little bit about the FaxCore product. Like I mentioned, it's the only one built in and for the internet age. It's built on the Microsoft.NET platform. And actually, you leverage Internet Information Server to provide a browser interface. And with that browser interface, it makes anybody can use the service of the fax server anywhere they've got an internet connection. Typically, the way people would use it is sending fax from their PCs. Email is a very common way, and we support multiple email platforms since it's just SMTP. Allows them to, even if they're on Office 365, to easily send and receive faxes from their Outlook client. Some people may prefer the client print driver. If they've got maybe they're in QuickBooks or some other application and they've got to fax out purchase orders, invoices, statements, copies of bills, etc. Printing to a FaxCore print driver is a very easy way to do it. If any of you've used products in the past, even like WinFax, you'll recognize kind of what goes on there. Or FaxCore Web UI. And I didn't put a bullet in here, but we actually do have a client for Androids. It's in the Google App Store. You can just download a fax. It's free. You can download it on your Android phone. Demand hasn't been really there to justify doing it for the iPhone, but if it can be done if warranted. So again, people want to be able to receive faxes via their emails. The typical way to do it, or if they're traveling, they've got an iPad or something, they want to grab it off of through the Web UI. We can do it that way. Another big driver of fax server sales, or using a fax server's fax in the cloud, is the MFPs. The newer models from Sharp and Xerox, Ricoh, you name it, Konica Minolta, these newer models have basically a browser built into the panel of the MFP. So rather than putting in an expensive fax kit, like a $1,000 fax board inside a MFP and pulling a phone line out to it. A lot of times they prefer to just have an account on the FaxCore server, which can be up in the cloud or in their premise, and they can walk up and they can send and receive faxes with a GUI that looks very familiar to what they see on their desktop. And so Davidson Consulting, which is kind of the expert on the fax server industry, said that 47% of the fax sales are tied to MFP implementations. So if you know of anybody in the office equipment space and want to help them have a better way to deliver faxing out to their MFPs, I suggest you to connect up with them. And we've certified on pretty much all of the major brands, and if you've got specific questions on models and whatnot, we can help you out there. Also, there's some people that just want to actually have their application automatically fax out documents. Like I mentioned, EMR EMR and EHR applications. We offer a .NET SDK, SOAP, XML, if you will, and their application can just hit a web service and pump a fax out. So it's used by quite a few companies in that area. Another unique feature is that we put in our newest version is OCRing, optical character recognition, every fax that goes in or out of the system, providing a couple of benefits. One is if somebody wants to search for a fax based upon a particular client name or project or something like that, that's all available in the GUI. They can just type in a couple words, and any fax that contains those words will come up in the search results. We've also got people using it to automatically route faxes rather than issuing out a fax number to a specific person or department. You know, they can set up a routing rule. Okay, every time you see the word purchase order on the fax, I'm going to send it over to the purchasing department or the accounting department. And our website contains a lot of this information, so you can go back there. And then, you know, at the beginning, you may have noticed FaxCore and EtherFax. So let me explain the relationship there. Prior to EtherFax, the only way for a fax server to send and receive faxes was to install a fax board or fax modems in the server where the application was installed, and or with the advent of IP-based phone systems like Cisco or ShoreTel, Avaya, which we're all certified with, by the way, you need fax over IP drivers. Well, EtherFax is basically that fax board, if you will. Instead of having it deployed at the customer premise with locally attached phone lines connected, EtherFax is a fax board in the cloud. So our FaxCore server, which can also coexist in the cloud or at the customer premise, and we'll cover some of these designs in a few minutes, can leverage that EtherFax service or that fax board in the cloud. And so it does a couple things. One is it lowers the capital expenditure cost for implementing a fax service or a fax server at the customer premise. One of our biggest customers is actually in the fax server business or fax service business, and his initial outlay to get the system launched was under $5,000, and he's doing upwards of 1.5 million pages a month through his fax service, all back-ended by EtherFax. So it allowed him to expand his business model without requiring a lot of cash. So fax services are using it. Also, a lot of companies are, they may have had a fax board and their own phone lines pulled in. It's complicated. It's something they don't want to manage. So that's something they can, move out and into the cloud. They've got a much simpler infrastructure to manage or put everything up in the cloud. And it can scale well. The EtherFax is doing millions and millions of pages every month now. They've got really good coverage on portability, number porting. So if companies had a fax server in place for many years or a fax machine, they want to keep that number. They can port it, make it ring into EtherFax. So that's one of the ways that we can do it. Now we've got what we call a partly cloudy approach, where the FaxCore software is installed on premise, typically in a VM, and the benefit of that is it gives you the connection in with maybe the customer's Exchange server, or if you're a solution provider and want to host it in your data center with your hosted Exchange, it gives you that tight integration. Also with the MFPs and any back office applications like SAP, Microsoft Dynamics products, things like that. And then we installed the EtherFax adapter. So our FaxCore server thinks it's talking to a locally installed fax board, but in reality that job is going out to the EtherFax fax board up in the data center. Then a lot of healthcare companies and or people in the financial services industry, they like this model because they've got control over all the faxes. They've got the storage of them on site. They don't have to worry about the faxes being out in the cloud. In fact, EtherFax never stores a fax or retains a copy of that fax image longer than it takes to send it or receive it. So that's another nice thing that people like about it. And the real differentiator, and this can't be stressed enough, is the security, where in addition to HTTPS connection between the fax server and the EtherFax data center, there's also a multi-layer encryption performed on the actual TIFF file going back and forth of the fax image. The technology is known as depth and defense, conceived by our NSA. So that's there. Also, EtherFax is going through PCI Level 1 DSS compliance. We'll have that certification any week now. And so, if somebody's asking about is it HIPAA compliant, is it PCI compliant, that's the payment card industry, you can answer yes. So that's the partly cloudy model. And then we also have what we call a full cloud, where everything's up in the data center. And Tina, if you can flip to the next slide there for me. That'll show the, so instead of the FaxCore server being on the customer premise, it's all out maybe in, like I mentioned, in an artisan data center or wherever you want to host it. And then same operation, except nothing is on premise. But the users can still send and receive faxes from their desktop PC, just like they could if it were on-prem. And the MFPs, they can all, again, since it's basically a browser built into the panel, can hit that FaxCore server up in the cloud. The only thing that would be, the only differentiator, I think the things that you could say that you would lose would be the integration in with maybe an on-site SAP or some other applications like that. And the long-term storage. Some of our customers who have deployed FaxCore out in the cloud as a service only store the fax images for 30 days. But there are a number of ways that FaxCore can actually get those faxes out to the customer or the end user so that they can store their faxes as needed. So those are the primary deployment options along with the FaxCore server and partly cloudy or fully cloud, and again leveraging virtual machines. And then we'll touch on some of the revenue models. I think that's the next slide.
Yes, I have one question for you, Tom, that came in, which is, does Pure Cloud work with Office 365?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So in the ways that somebody could actually send a fax, the fax server up in the cloud is going to have a public DNS name, like ours, for example, co.faxcore.com. So if I wanted to send a fax from Outlook, I could just, in the to field, type in fax number it's sending to, then at co.faxcore.com. And then whatever I type in the subject line of that email goes in the subject line of the cover page. Any notes in the body of the mail goes in the cover page notes section, and I can attach PDF, Word, Excel, whatever, and send it. That's going to go out over the internet through Office Outlook in the cloud into the FaxCore server, gets sent, and then the sender gets a confirmation back that their fax was successfully sent. So good question.
Excellent. And so with Pure Cloud, just to make sure, there's no hardware purchase required, right?
Correct. Yeah, no software required, no software purchase required, no hardware required, just an EtherFax plan that is, and we'll see those different plans in a minute, but they start out at, this is designed for businesses, so they start out at about 500 pages per month and then go up from there. And again, you're going to, we find that our dealers are competing with maybe like an eFax, a MyFax, all those various fax services out there. And we can charge a little bit more because we have a lot more integration points, and I think it's a stickier solution, if you will. the pure outsourced solutions. They can't do the integration in with the MFTs on site or the some of the back office applications. They're certainly not PCI compliant and HIPAA compliant because they're typically sending faxes down to you via email, unencrypted with a PDF file attached. So with FaxCore and EtherFax up in the cloud, everything is HTTPS, and we can deliver faxes out in the browser. Somebody just wants to view it that way rather than pulling down a PDF file that's not encrypted. So these are just kind of
another question,
sure.
Which I think you answered here, is whether or not it's Pure Cloud is HIPAA compliant.
It is in the sense that all the communications are secure. The only place that it would, I guess the only thing that we would have to do to make it HIPAA compliant would advise the client or consult with the client on how to manage the retention of those fax records. FaxCore has a multiple delivery mechanisms where we could actually FTP all the faxes out to a server. We can do it secure FTP. We're actually doing that with a company today based in Santa Ana, California. We can push it into a SharePoint document library or some other web portal. So, yeah, the HIPAA compliance, again, the extra part that needs to be done is the retention of those fax records for at least 6 years.
Okay, great. All right, no other questions there.
Okay, great. Yeah, and it's really a differentiator with this the security. So yeah, we always focus on that. And Danny, or Dina, you can go to the next slide.
Okay, so the features and benefits, we move to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are the plans that we've got, and they're listed there on the SnAPPshot portal, and these are MSRP prices. The only place these are published is actually at SnAPPshot. So if you wanted to devise your own pricing plan, you can do that, and we do have some dealers selling above these MSRP prices. And this is not a comprehensive list of all the plans, but we do start at 500 pages per month as a minimum, which is approximately 11 cents a page. And then it's kind of like a cell phone plan, where if I only use up 400 pages, those extra 100 pages do not overflow to the next month. It's a use them or lose them. And if I go over that, then the additional page cost is 15 cents. So we have these plans. There's about 20 different packages going all the way up to 20,000 pages per month. And as the page volume goes up, the cost per page goes down. And then for high volume accounts, if we're talking 30, 40, 50,000, 100,000 pages a month, we get down to sometimes sub 5 cents to be competitive to get that business. And it's very, very good revenue. It's recurring revenue. Oh, I apologize. We've got our office here has on the main route from the fire station. So sorry about the sirens here. So the revenue plans here, they're set at 20% margin by default. And what I like to describe, and our resellers get it pretty quick, is instead of your customer writing out a check every month to the phone company, they're writing that check out to you. So that's where you can get a lot of recurring revenue. We've got two different ways to do it. Some resellers are set up for monthly recurring billing, and then they prefer to bill their customers, and then we in turn bill them for the usage. Others are not set up for that. So in that case, we could actually do the billing on your behalf. You tell us, here's the customer, here's the price and plan that I'm putting them in, and you bill them, and then we issue your commissions on a quarterly basis. If you end up selling what we call a partly cloudy solution, where the customer does want the FaxCore software on their premise, margins there are 25% on the software. The system, at a minimum is going to be at least approximately $3,000 or so. And then the support contracts, we take care of all the support, but you make a 15% margin on the support agreements that range anywhere from $850 a year up to $4,000 and more, depending on the size of the system. We also try to make it really easy for you to sell this. We've got flash demos up on our website that show people how they can use FaxCore. They're actually so accurate, a lot of our customers actually use them for internal training for their users to see how they can send a fax from Outlook or a print driver. And you can link those to your website if you want, or put a link on your website to them. We've got a one-page questionnaire that is designed to collect all the information needed in order to produce a quote and size the system properly. So we've got that available for you. A lot of references. We've been doing this for 14 years, and again, we encourage you to get an account from us so that you can actually experience it. And then on the next, we'll talk a little bit about some of the revenues that our customers make. And we've got a dealer here in Colorado that's been doing it several years now, and he's up to $5,000 per month in profit. $60,000 a year, and that's just on the EtherFax revenue. He's also got some support contract revenue in there and whatnot. And so, an example of 5,000 pages, he can make close to $1,000 a year off that customer, and it's very little work. You just set it up once, and it's just recurring revenue, kind of like a phone bill. We have a dealer down in California that was going to sell a $17,000 fax board, and instead he sold EtherFax. Now he's making $5,000 every month instead of just one time on that fax board sale. So that's in a quick summary. We're coming in right up to the wire as far as ending this. Next slide will tell you how you can go get a hold of us. I encourage you to sign up as a reseller through SnAPPshot, and then if you've got further questions, this is how you can reach us. FaxCore.com is our website, or send an email to sales@faxcore.com. And then, let us know if you'd like to take us up on that offer of a free fax account in the cloud with your own fax number and 100 pages per month.
Excellent. And Tom, I have a couple of extra questions for you, and so let me shoot them over. This is a great presentation. I think it's a really excellent product. We're so excited to be able to bring it to our resellers, and really appreciate your giving everyone the free account as well. I think it's a great way for you to take advantage of that and really learn and start thinking about how you can incorporate it with your customers. But so the first question is, are the prices that you listed in and out, or just out? So I guess they mean, is that the cost is that a wholesale cost, or is that are they able to reprice or upsell the pricing?
So the prices listed, or the packages listed, that does account for fax pages sent and received. So if they're sending 300 pages and getting 200 pages in every month, that's going to use up their 500 pages. The prices out there that their SnAPPshot are the MSRP. The reseller cost is also in there. As you mentioned, the 20% discount. And if you want, you can sell those above MSRP. As I mentioned, some people do.
Okay, great. Now, the other final question that I had so far was, will it work with other hosted exchange solutions besides 365, as long as they're working with Outlook?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's just done via SMTP. So we've got some people moved over to Gmail, Google Docs, etc., or their own internal mail server. So FaxCore has its own SMTP listener and sender services that are giving us connectivity to any mail system out there in the world. Okay.
Fantastic. All right. Does anyone have any final questions before we wrap up? We usually try to do this in only 15 minutes, but a lot of good questions, a lot of great information, so we kind of went over. Someone says, I have a quote I could add this to right now, so that's fantastic. If that's the case, please email, please get in touch either through SnAPPshot on the FaxCore app page. You can either go directly there and send an inquiry, but sign up if you're not a reseller already. I can't tell if you are or not. Sign up first as a reseller in SnAPPshot so you can see all that extra information, or you can contact Donna Olmstead. Her information is right here on this. It's Donna, DONNA.Olmstead, OLMSTEAD @FaxCore.com, and she'd be happy to make that introduction and ensure that you are directly connected with Tom or whoever Tom would like you to speak with. So I'm going to actually put that Donna's email address right now into the box on the bottom of the chat area so that you can have that. Well, fantastic, and hopefully it'll bring you some nice additional revenue this year. I just think this is a very great example of the benefits that SaaS not only is bringing to customers but also to resellers, and to be able to add products like this to your offering really helps to make you bring value to your customers, and it's a great way to develop passive, recurring, long-term income. So Tom, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we'll be able to host you again, and we look forward to being able to continue to offer your programs to our resellers. And everyone have a great day. We have one more SnAPPshot